Hey there, welcome to Rise and Receive. This is an opportunity in your day to stop whatever you're doing and explore with me how to receive your fulfillment by unlearning struggle. So today we're going to talk about, are you picky when it comes to what you want to manifest? Are you choosy? Are you picky? Are you really selective about it? Well, sometimes that's a great thing and it can work in your favor. And sometimes it actually doesn't work in your favor. It can cause you to struggle. So if you would like to know how to really understand when and how to be picky and choosy about what you want and when not to be and how to be or what to do instead, then stick around because I think you're really going to like this video. So if you don't know me, my name is Sonia Miller. I'm a speaker, coach, and best-selling author, and I help hardworking, goal-oriented people to discover the blind spots that keep them from receiving their long overdue rewards. And I do this by teaching the very distinct skill set that I call receiving. I teach people how to receive because receiving is its own skill set. And most hardworking, goal-oriented people are not so familiar with that. What I have found in my 20 plus years is that hardworking, goal-oriented people know how to work hard. And that starts to put us in the realm of being a hunter. We hunt and pursue, we identify a target, we make plans, we analyze, we strategize, and we take a whole bunch of action. And that is great for certain situations. And I'm going to talk more about that today. However, hunting can only take you so far. And when you're not receiving your goals and you don't know how to stop hunting and tap into the receiving skill set, what happens? We work even harder. And that keeps you in this hard work loop. So I love to illuminate blind spots because blind spots are such a simple shift in perspective and point of view that when you see what you didn't see, all of a sudden things shift for you. You become able to receive things you couldn't receive before. And your point of view and being able to see clearly is really essential because in my world and everything that I live from, coach, and teach about, your consciousness creates your reality. There's a whole terrain in your inner world that's just as rich and valuable as the external world terrain that hunters and hard workers know how to navigate, right? But if you don't know the inner terrain, that's when you start to work harder than you need to. So today we're going to illuminate what I'm calling the hunter blind spot. And I've talked about it in other videos, but specifically we're going to talk about how the hunter blind spot affects your capacity to know when to be picky and choosy and when not to and what to do instead. So let's talk about that. When you're in hunter mode, okay, if you think about what hunters tend to do is they have identified a target, all right, and they set a plan to go out and get what they want. And so they have this tunnel vision focus on their target, right? So their vision closes in to the exclusion of all else. Okay, and that's the narrow focus. So they have single focus or narrow focus. That's the hunter. That's what being picky is. That's what being selective is. And it's super important under the right conditions. Now, if you are not finding your target, okay, if you are struggling, if you can't get there, if you're still hunting and pursuing and you're feeling frustrated, then that could be your blind spot. And it's time to shift from narrow focus hunter to what's called diffuse awareness, which is the opposite. Diffuse awareness focuses on nothing, opens up, and instead of excluding things, includes everything. Okay? And this can really help you when the hunter blind spot is affecting you. So let's talk about when being picky or selective like the hunter serves you and when it doesn't and you need to shift gears into something else. All right? So being picky and being focused and selective is excellent when you know exactly what you want, where it is, and how to get it. So that's like being a project manager. That's like having a tangible physical world goal. If you're familiar with SMART goals, it's great for that. So SMART goals is a type of goal setting that you can see in lots of different arenas, and it stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. So that's great if you know what you want, where to find it, and how to get it. Now, what happens when you're not so clear about what you want? Those tend to be more in the realm of dreams, okay? These big, rich, complex dreams that have a lot of moving parts, right? So you don't necessarily know what you want, and you definitely don't know where or how to get it, and you can't control the timing of it. What do you do then? Well, if you try to narrow in, that's actually going to cause you to work a lot harder, because you need to open up to all kinds of things that you might not necessarily know that you need or want in order to realize this dream. So a good way to think about it is think about getting food from a menu versus getting food from a buffet. A menu is great when you are home and you're like, I know exactly what I want to eat tonight. I know exactly where to get it, and I know exactly how to get there. And that when I get there, I'm going to be fully satisfied. In other words, that narrow focus feels good. You're in alignment, everything's cooking, and you're ready to go. But what about when you know what you want, sort of, maybe you know what you want, but you don't know where to get it. Or maybe you don't know exactly what you want. You kind of have mixed feelings about it. Right? Now, you could go to a restaurant and see if they have it, but if they don't have it, then what? You're going to be frustrated, right? But if you go to a buffet and you open up to everything that's there, then the thing that you want can find you, and you can be really satisfied. Your chances of finding something satisfying requires you to be open, because you don't really know what you want. And you're not even sure, even if you go to a restaurant, if you're going to be able to find it there. All right, so that's kind of a good metaphor. So how do you open the flow gates when you are feeling like, I really want something, you've been working hard and hunting, and it isn't here yet? Well, one of the skills that come with being a great receiver, a fortunate receiver, I've actually picked 2 cards from the Receive Oracle card deck, because this is such a powerful concept, okay? One of them is to practice receiving everything as sacred. So that means you start to learn how to practice receiving everything that you want and things that you don't want. And when you do that, just like a buffet, right, everything can move on through, and the thing that you want can find you. All right. But what most people do is they become really selective. They start to get things that they want, and they allow that in, and they receive that. But then they get something they don't want, and they push that away. They resist it or fight it. And when you do this, you start to feel stuck. You start to work harder. You start to do battle. And that's what causes struggle and dissatisfaction that is completely unnecessary. When you learn how to tap into receiving, you open the flow gates, and yeah, you'll get some things that you don't want, but life moves through you, and it can arrive much faster, because one of the things I love to say is life always offers kindness. But if you're too busy doing battle with what is because you don't like it, because you're being selective, then the things that you want could be lining up outside the door, and you cannot let them in. So this other card that I love to highlight is called Be Unselective. You practice being unselective, receiving everything as sacred. That opens the flow, and it really helps when you're feeling really picky and specific about what you want, but you don't know how to find it, you don't know where to get it, and you're just really struggling. That's when being picky doesn't serve you, and practicing receiving everything as sacred and being unselective really, really serves you. So I always like to give people an invitation, because receiving is invitation-based as opposed to intention-based, which is what the hunter does. And this allows you to really open the flow gates when you aren't 100% sure what you want or how to get it, okay? Let's say you want something, you're sort of vague, and you're sort of looking for it, but you're not feeling really successful. Just practice this mantra. Whatever situation you're going into, wherever you're exploring getting those dreams met or those goals realized, just notice, especially if you're having discomfort or negative expectations, just stop and notice and say this mantra. It comes on the card. I am willing to be pleasantly surprised. It's one of my all-time favorite mantras. I love it when my clients take it on, because they always come back with really fun stories. Oh, I was going to go do this thing that I had to do, and I was like really dreading it, but I stopped myself. I caught myself in my negative expectations, and I just kept saying, I'm willing to be pleasantly surprised. I'm willing to be pleasantly surprised. And then this thing happened and I received this thing. I hear it all the time. It's really fun. So I hope that inspires you. And I wanted to give you some next steps if that's something that you'd like to explore further. For anybody that wants to learn how to receive, there's 2 easy, very accessible next steps that you can take. Is you can get your own Receive Oracle cards, which starts to illuminate receiving principles that you can take into your life right away. Go to receivecarddeck.com and you'll find them on my Amazon store. And I am relaunching the 30-day challenge. Start Receiving Now 30-day challenge. I have revamped it a little bit. I'm making it totally accessible. And I invite you to accept my challenge because all it requires is for you to show up 15 minutes a day, receive the micro teaching that I'm going to send you via email. They're 2 to 5 minutes long. Sit, receive the message, and then just practice what it offers you. And that space becomes an invitation for you to start receiving right away. And it's so powerful. I just had to share something that I received in my relaunch. I've been talking to clients who've gone through the challenge to say, so let's connect about what you've received from the challenge because I really want people to know what's possible. And I got this amazing email. So I'm going to read you a couple things that this person got. It's right on my iPad here. So she said, what I want to say about the challenge, I really think it's the main reason I'm not a puddle during this time. See, she's going through a very challenging time with a parent who is dying, and it's a very challenging time for her and her family. And she said, it took me about 90 days to do instead of the 30 days because I just didn't have the mental bandwidth many days for it. But I'm practicing being and not doing and not pushing myself. And then she went on to say, now here's a specific thing I can think of. I put out there that I wish I didn't have to do anything to have money just appear in my life. I mean, dream big, right? And it happened. Literally checks showing up on my desk. One being the check that my husband gives me for paying the bills, etc. Like always, I received that one aspect. But literally others. I was finding cash on the street, checks in the mail for no reason, overpayment of a bill, for example. So I get stories like this all the time. Receiving is a skill set. When you learn how to tap into it, it's so incredibly simple and easy. It's just not necessarily familiar. But when you become familiar with it, when you show up every day, 15 minutes a day, when you practice ALI, the 3-step method that you get to learn about in the challenge and through the cards, it's amazing what happens. Now, I just wanted to share a little bit more about why I'm so passionate about this, because I do have a much bigger vision. All right. So when you learn how to receive, you start to open up to your fulfillment. And fulfilled people become givers because they're overflowing. But when we are working hard and when we are struggling, we are in survival mode and we're scraping and clawing and trying to find how to get that thing that's going to make us happy. We tend to focus on ourselves because we have to, whether it's a matter of survival or just because we have to tend to the things that make us happy first before we can give to others, or so we think. So my reason for teaching receiving and why I'm so passionate is because receiving is one of the most generous things that we can do. And it's something that our world could sure use more of. Fulfilled people who are overflowing and know how to receive and give generously. So I hope this has inspired you. If it did, please like, please share. It helps me reach the people that I'm here to serve. And if you're on YouTube, click the red subscribe button. I'll let you know each time I release a new video. Have a great day, and I'll see you at the next Rise and Receive. Bye, everybody.